there was a member of SNCC, the group that fought for, one of the groups that was fighting for civil rights in the 50s and 60s in the United States, called Bob Moses. And he said, how do you win the trust of a local community? Well, you arrive and you start by bouncing a ball. And you bounce the ball and the kids come and play. And then eventually somebody throws the ball too far and it rolls under the porch of the house over there. And then you go over to the porch and you meet the adults and you say hello to them. And slowly you're building trust. You're not doing campaigning. You're not coming straight in with your message. It's not instrumental. It's a long-term embedded campaign. So we don't think this shallow door-to-door, just knock on doors at election time works very well. We think this longer-term community organizing embedded in the community does work well.
What does it take for an organization to have an effective campaign? So there should be political actors or the candidates who are key, and the vehicle that they use are the political parties, and the focus, if we are focusing on marketing or retention, then the voters become the political consumers. Why are they political consumers? Because the political candidates are the ones that are supposed to influence the voters so that the pledges or the promises that they are offering can sink, so that they make an independent decision whether to elect those who want to be in power and also those who want positions. So also in the organization we have stakeholders who have various interests about the governments that are in power. So in organizations, there are things that have to be focused. That is, which direction is the campaign going to? What are the roles or tasks or activities that are to be performed and by who? So the element of human resource comes to be the key. Then, under political communication, the global approach, this is standard, and we must have a political plan. The target parties affiliate to communicate to the recipients. And then must have campaign interactive tools that include rally, public meeting, support committee meetings, and dinners. There must be media publicity that nowadays the easiest is the social media network, whereby there is no payment that is offered. And there is an easy way of interacting between the campaign team and also the voters.
Our association is determined to wet the ground by nurturing healthy relationships with political parties, government, and candidates in Africa, because we believe there is still a lot of ignorance about the job that we do and the huge value we can add to the outcome of elections in particular, and generally to governance in Africa. We believe that the success of our mandate will drastically reduce zero-sum politicking that encourages violence, voodoo, and intolerance, ills which currently plague the political process in Africa. We also believe that building such bridges will resolve certain occupational challenges faced by consultants working, for instance, for opposition parties. There have been instances when the work permit laws have been invoked to deport consultants and deny such clients the critical professional support that our job offers. We therefore call on political parties, governments, and candidates to embrace our work and get the benefit of competence and experience which we offer through our exposure to comparative political processes all over the world. This at least provides one great reason why the APCA must exist. Last year, the APCA was formally admitted to the International Association of Political Consultants, IAPC, as the sole continental chapter for Africa. The IAPC also took the historic step of appointing one of the founding members of the APCA, Mr. Curtis Adigba from Nigeria, to its board. Since then, it has received recognition from the European Association of Political Consultants and is well regarded by the American Association of Political Consultants. Next month, APCA will be demanding a formal seat on the board of the IAPC as its continental partner in a bid to increase our presence in the international circuit. One of the assumptions of political management is a political process that works. This includes an impartial electoral agency, a free and vibrant press, a technologically developed media industry, a strict and responsible enforcement agency, a respectable judiciary, and tolerance for international observer missions to promote the integrity of the polls. The challenge before us today is that these conditions have not reached any stage of perfection in global politics in general, but notoriously so in African politics. The crucial need for these requirements have given birth to the theme of this year's summit, Building Stronger Democracies. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, let us lend each other our ears as we search for solutions to problems that undermine our survival as professionals.
It gives me great pleasure to be part of this auspicious occasion of the Third Africa Political Summit of the Association of Political Consultants Africa, an association dedicated to professionalizing political consulting across the African continent. The association also aims, I'm told, at promoting good governance, free and fair elections, free media, as well as empowerment of women and young people. This year's event is being held under the theme Building Strong Democracies in Africa, and has attracted elected officials and public affairs professionals from Africa and across the globe. It aims at building on the success of previous events in Cape Town and Lagos, respectively. Let me therefore at the outset state that democracy is the glue to good governance. Without democratic mandate, regimes flounder as they force themselves on unwilling populace. The rule of the gun can never be a panacea to a restless people reeling under the stifling heat of autocracy. Needless to say, evidence abounds all over the world of regimes that have thrown democracy out of the window in favor of repression and dictatorship, but which have eventually been decimated by popular revolt. African nations, and indeed nations too, other nations too, must always strive to avoid that route. In what I call a bag of mixed fortunes, I want to say that democracy has grown from the African countries got independence and continues to grow even today. However, a closer look at the continent's history shows a bag of mixed fortunes. Whereas certain African nations have enjoyed relative calm since independence, others have reeled under the painful yoke of coups and revolutions. Going forward, how do we ensure a free and fair outcome so that we do not have to bring this country on its knees? The Kenyan case just goes to illustrate the importance of political rapprochement in solving highly volatile political situations. However, I hasten to add that the Kenya scenario cannot be used as a blank check for reluctant Democrats from other countries to hold on to power in the false belief that they can always resort to dangling the carrot to their political opponents. Indeed, there is no guarantee that opposition leaders from other countries will be magnanimous enough to accept lesser positions than those they think they have earned through the popular vote. Such leaders may resort to the Samson option. If you read your Bible, you remember the story of Samson and Delilah, selecting to go down with the whole country by fomenting chaos and mayhem rather than accepting token appointments from their despotic opponents. We are happy that this is not the case in Kenya. And I wonder how many other African countries are willing to see that. To keep the momentum of democracy and democratic institutions, must keep improving in order to sustain the gains made. The most important of these are the electoral bodies mandated with the managing elections. Such institutions should ideally be above reproach. They must be insulated from interference, particularly by those who enjoy incumbency, mainly through constitutional safeguards. Though this is easier said than done, it is not an impossibility. Incumbents must also respect the electoral institutions and avoid meddling in them, either directly or through their agents and their supporters. As I speak about the need to strengthen the independence of the institutions that run elections in Africa and beyond, I also call upon other democratic institutions to up their game. These include the courts of law, human rights organizations, the clergy, the civic organizations, the media. And here we really must applaud the Kenyan media. I think that our media here has really literally come of age. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my great pleasure and privilege to declare this third African Political Summit, Consultants Permit, officially opened. Thank you.
We are living in a time where we face an accelerating change of society. This doesn't have to be something negative. This doesn't have to be something positive. Depends on what is the target of this change. So our technologies are changing, healthcare is changing, medicine gets more and more developed. Today a child that is born can be over 100 years old if the technology is evolving that fast in the future. So we are facing changes in our societies, and the question is, what do we do with these changes? But people feel insecure when everything around them changes. And this leads to another I, which I call inconsistency. So nothing is as it seems anymore. I'm speaking about the perceptions of the voters. And with this inconsistency, something will rise within the voter, and this is uncertainty. Yeah? How will our politicians, our political actors, those who are really in power, how will they react to these changes? Because every change brings problems, every change brings potential. How do we use these changes? Can we use the changes to grow potential, or are we going to face the problems? And with this uncertainty, we don't know how will our political actors react. Something else will be created, and I call this incompetence. I'm not saying political actors are incompetent, but they are being perceived as incompetent when politicians fail to react on the changes. And this is what we have faced in the refugee crisis in all around European countries. And the right-wing populists, the extremists, some racists also, they have said that our political actors are not competent to deal with this issue. And so they convince a lot of voters and people in Europe. And from this perceived incompetence, we will face another issue, which is unhappiness with the current governments or regimes or political situation. And then a protest will rise. So these are the main 5 issues, changes in society, where we will have to recognize it and then decide which methods or instruments or tools of communications do we have to use to face these changes in society. And to do so, to derive what we'll have to use to communicate with voters because of these changes, I brought you some technologies and some ways of how you can generate leads or data and then use this data to communicate with people. So how can you win data, and what are the most effective tools for political campaigns? What minimum information or data do we need? I can tell you, you have to answer yourself some questions. You have to know who is your supporter. Yeah? You have supporters, you have non-supporters. And you have to know each of these supporters, what are they interested in? And then, if you know, this guy is my supporter, he's interested in this or this topic, then you go out and you have to contact them, communicate with them, mobilize them, and then get them to the ballot boxes to vote for you. But in an election, most of you have seen or participated or consulted politicians in an election campaign. You know the problem. We have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people out there, depending on what kind of election you're consulting or campaigning. We have thousands of people out there, and it's from the resource of time not possible to reach out to everyone personally, to convince them. The best case would be if you put your candidate, speak 2 or 3 or 5 minutes with every voter that you have, and then people will have a different feeling towards this person. But we don't have the capacity. So the question is, how can you contact all of your supporters at the same time, simultaneously, and at the same time keep the communication as personal as possible?
We live in the most challenging era for political marketing in our history. So if I think a little bit more problem, imagine a huge complex country, no mass media for working on, and people not interested in political issues, and way less money. It's a bad situation for political marketing. So if we think a little bit more, probably we go to fishing and finish this career and stop the work. But the challenge is, how do we deliver a message in this case, in this situation, in this scenario? How do we impact people? How do we convince people to vote, to move, to go, get out their house and go to vote? How to optimize money? And that's why we're here to speak what we do for you. So, in Idea Big Data, we believe in 3 integrated things working together: data, digital, and creativity. So, you may be thinking it's time to follow Obama lessons to make campaigns, because everybody lived the time when the Obama receipt is most important thing to political marketing, but there's no Obama receipt. Special, this is our Obama. In Brazil, there's only this Obama. It's a guy that look like Obama, eat Brazilian food and different. Because I heard from many clients, "Oh my God, you can make a Obama campaign for me." No, you're not Obama. I can do it. But we believe in something never change in political marketing. You agree, probably. Strategy, polls, creativity, content, storytelling, and mobilization. This is the same. And now we're working on a new platform. That's why we believe. And a platform with digital intelligence, real-time research, data analytics, psychometry, crowdsourcing, mobile activation, social listening. It's called Big Data for us. So, since 2010, we invest in Idea, in many new technology for campaigns. Because when we saw in the past that this scenario is designing, we work in 3 special points. First of all, the polls and many tools to listen people and to make very fast, to understand very fast what happened in many parts of Brazil. For instance, we have one platform that we have called Pinion. It's we have average 800,000 people in app that we can send some polls to people answer for us in very fast about the political issues or other things. It works like a focus group, but cheaper and faster.